My name is Steve Jones. I'm the general manager of our SAP and VMware businesses at AWS. Been with AWS for just over 13 years. And I'm very pleased to be joined today by Arpan. And he's going to introduce what we're going to be talking about. We're going to do a bit of dance back and forth as we discuss Grow on AWS. It's a super exciting topic. It's wonderful how many of you turned out today. Amazing. Thank you. Arpan?
All right, well, welcome everyone. My name is Arpan. Steve, thanks for having me. We're really excited about being at reInvent. We've had a long partnership for many, many years, and what we're doing, or what we announced at this event, is really, really special. So it's my pleasure to share with you more about Grow, which is our multi-tenant SaaS service for ERP. And Steve and I will talk about what the benefits are of it running on AWS as well. So you'll get to hear about Cloud ERP, and you'll get to hear about some of the stuff that AWS is helping us power. So with that, we have a good agenda today. So I'll kind of start it off talking a bit more about what is ERP for those of you who may not be familiar. And then we'll talk about the collaboration, then we'll get into the product, and then we'll talk a little bit about under the hood, like how we're using Graviton, how we're using a lot of the AWS infrastructure to really power our SaaS solution. So let me start here. How many people know what an ERP is? Okay, great. And out of curiosity, how many of you are customers? Raise your hand if you're a customer of SAP. And raise your hand if you're a partner. Good, okay. So I won't spend too much time on this slide, but ERP is effectively software that helps you manage your enterprise resources. So everyone has different resources, digital resources, physical ones. Every company is either selling services or selling products. They all have finance. So something like S/4HANA Public Cloud helps you manage all of this and be efficient. And what we've seen is that as there are new business models that come, as there are more innovations that come, as things like sustainability become really important, having ERP be in a SaaS environment is really, really effective. That way you as customers, you as partners, get these updates, you're getting the latest updates, which is different from traditional SAP system where people invest a much longer time setting it up, configuring it. With SaaS, we provide out-of-the-box value, turnkey, so you can get it done sometimes as quickly as 1 or 2 months, or worst case, a handful of months, versus doing it in many years. So that is one of the real benefits of Grow running on AWS. We have worked with AWS and Amazon for many, many years, and you can see some of the stats from SAP as well, right? So we've been working with Amazon for a while, but even SAP on its own has driven businesses and run some of the largest companies in the world. So you can see it here, 84% of global commerce is actually generated by SAP customers. 98 out of the top 100 are the largest companies run SAP. It makes me wonder which are the two, and I'll have to ask my team what the two are. And then 80% of the teams are also small and medium businesses. And this is where I think it's exciting that if we can bring this service to more and more customers, not just the top, not just the upper mid-market, but really the broad base, we can drive that value to customers. Partners can help drive that value, and customers can enjoy that value. And then maybe Steve can talk a little bit about the collaboration with AWS.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so as Arpan mentioned, SAP and AWS have been working for quite some time. We actually estimated at just about over 16 years. And from the early days, right, when we ourselves were just also figuring out what cloud really meant, right? Some of the early services, we were partnering together, right? To ensure that these major business critical systems could work and work really well in the cloud, right? And since then, we've collaborated on a number of initiatives. Some of these you'll see on the screen, right? SAP choosing to run and operate many of their lines of businesses and product lines on AWS. And Amazon also runs SAP, right? So many of our subsidiaries like Twitch, Zoox, Zappos, MGN, I know we're in Vegas, I had to put MGN in. And most recently, Kuiper, so for those of you that might be scientists out in the audience, we have a goal over the next, I would say, 12 to 18 months to launch thousands of satellites, right? And we needed a system that could help us track all the sourcing of all the parts and components that go into those satellites and everything else that goes with this particular service. The antennas, right? This is a wireless communication network, so very complex. And we chose SAP RISE to implement our ERP system here at Amazon. So we're happy about that partnership. Not just the things that we've done over the years, but also running and operating our business as well on SAP. We've also been working with SAP's end customers. Arpan mentioned that 98 out of the global 100 and a staggering amount of the world's GDP runs through an SAP system. Many of those systems today run on AWS. And that comes from a lot of operational experience across our broad business portfolio, even Amazon retail. And the learnings from each of decades plus of experience, that as we started to build the cloud, we poured that learning and that experience into the AWS cloud. We have millions of active customers, and we have thousands of SAP customers now running on AWS. Anyway, we're super excited about the partnership. Our two CEOs were on stage earlier this year talking about some of the recent developments, including highly performant infrastructure. We'll talk a little bit about some of the generative AI capabilities. I know we're at the technical conference where we can't not talk about generative AI, I would suppose. But we're really pleased to be working directly with SAP on such game-changing technology. I want to just quickly highlight, I mentioned Amazon. Project Kuiper is actually running on RISE. There's a number of customers, right, that you might recognize. There was this thing that happened a few years ago called a pandemic, and Moderna obviously was one of the critical suppliers of COVID vaccine, right? And they're running their S/4HANA systems on AWS in RISE, and that was actually very instrumental to, again, how they operate their business, and we're able to bring that COVID vaccine to market for all of us, right? So, and then for SUNY, you might be familiar with them as well. Massive estate, right? Moved all into AWS. And then many of you might recognize the BBC, right? A very large consolidation project to move their critical SAP systems into AWS and reduce costs. So that was RISE with SAP. Let's talk a little bit about Grow.
Let's do that. Thank you, Steve. So let's get into the product. So SAP has a number of business applications, like we call them line of businesses. So we have HCM capabilities, success factors, we have spend and business network with Ariba, we have digital supply chain, and we have CX solutions. And at the heart of this, in many ways, is Cloud ERP. And so when you think about Cloud ERP, there are really two main solutions. So there's Grow with SAP, which is, like I mentioned, it's built on multi-tenant SaaS infrastructure, which is really meant to get up and running very quickly. It runs on industry standards, and we're able to update the service on a regular basis. And we really have built that for customers that are looking at new ERP systems. So that's Grow with SAP, and that's what I'll talk about for the next many minutes. On the right, which is what Steve was talking about, we also have RISE. And RISE is really a private edition or private cloud instance, also runs on AWS, and it's really great for customers that have existing SAP systems, want to run their own standards, want more control, and that is what RISE is great for. So these are the two key solutions when it comes to Cloud ERP. So when you think of Cloud ERP, it's Grow for net new, SaaS solution, and it's RISE. So let's talk about Grow a little bit. So when we think about what we deliver with our product, we really think about three value pillars. The first, and one of our aspirations, my team's aspiration as the person who heads product management, is we really want to make it as easy to use and as delightful to use as possible. So I spend a lot of time with SAP end users. We obviously spend time with IT to really understand how can we keep things simple. Because when you think of a typical SAP end user, he or she is writing lots of content and entries, and they're filling out forms. And in my opinion, there's no better surface and there's no better application where we can use AI, right? To really simplify work, to really automate things. So there's a lot of cool stuff we're doing there with Grow. And like I said, we're shipping more and more features every month. The second value pillar is really about our ability to give out-of-the-box business processes that can support new business models. So if you're a customer or if you're a partner, if there are new models out there, if there are new ways of doing business, we're able to ship it and you're able to use it. And I'll talk about a few examples a little later. And at the end of, and the last pillar is all about how we can get you up and running quickly. Steve will talk about AWS Marketplace and how that helps. But our goal is to make sure you go from procurement to going live in a matter of months. And so that is another core pillar. And so we'll spend some time talking about that as well. All right. So let's take a look at each one of these pillars. I'll spend a few minutes just walking through some examples. And the first one is really that end user journeys or end user stories on how we're simplifying everyday work. So one thing you'll notice, and those of you who have worked with kind of SAP or EC2 back in the day, you'll notice that the user experience is super modern. So we spent a lot of time on modernizing the entire user experience. We're using our Fury UX framework, if you're familiar with that. And we actually have spent a lot of time on the home screen. So when a user comes in, they see the tasks that they need to do, they see the applications that they use, and it's very intuitive, and they can jump right into things very easily. We also are mobile friendly. So we have something called SAP Start. So if you're someone that's on the go and you want to look at your tasks or you want to do a few things, you can also use a mobile. So again, the experience is modern. We have a great homepage that can be customized and it's tailored to the end user. AI, I mentioned this. I won't walk through I won't walk through this whole stack. I mean, Steve will talk about how AWS fits in here in a little bit. But the way we've built AI features is really embedding it to the business process. So if you're a user, you can actually take advantage of AI features right within the product. So as far as you're concerned, you don't have to deal with going to a different system, you don't have to use a different product. It's all embedded, it's all secure, and we actually maintain privacy as well. And along with the embedded AI, we also have something called Joule. So Joule is our co-pilot. So when you're in S/4HANA or when you're in Grow, you can actually invoke Joule and start asking Joule questions. And I have a short kind of screen demo to show you how that can look like. And I talked about this a little bit. You can see on the right-hand side, when you invoke Joule, the co-pilot comes up. And what's really nice about Joule is it's not just something that works in S/4HANA, but it actually works or is meant to work across all the business applications. So if you're using SuccessFactors, if you're using Ariba, Joule is there for you, again, tailored for what you're doing and has full context. So let me just show you a short demo, if you will, of what Joule looks like. So this is the Grow experience. At the top right, you can see an icon, a little Joule. And if I'm a user, I can actually go ahead and invoke it. It'll actually tell me how it can help me, how Joule can help me. And I can start asking questions like, hey, show me all the purchase orders that are in approval. And right there, again, without having to do a lot of clicks, without having to search around, I can see all this information. And I can even click into it and get details within Joule. And when I really want to actually do work, I can open up the different purchase orders in S/4HANA, and it'll filter it based on the ones that are approved. So Joule has full context on what you're doing, and S4 has full context, or Grow has full context on what you're trying to do. So you can see the filter being applied there. And then you can continue having a conversation with Joule, and it has full context. So now I'm asking, hey, where can I see all the supplier quotations? It'll actually give a link of useful applications and information. I can click on that application, get everything on the left-hand side, so I can take a look at it. And as I ask more questions, it'll go ahead and search for the right application or the right documentation or the right video. So again, if you're an end user, if you want to get work done, if you're not sure how to navigate the system, you can ask, you can do, you can get pointed to different information. And so we've made it a lot easier. And as we learn about what users want, we will keep tuning our AI, we'll keep tuning our AI features so we can drive the most value for our end users. So this is an example of search results. You can click on it and then you get, for example, in this case, you can get to an article that talks about workflows. And maybe Steve can talk a little bit about how we're working with AWS or how AWS makes things easier.
Yeah, you bet. Just real quick. You might ask, why are we talking about this today? And I failed to mention up front that it was just this week that we announced the Grow with SAP was available on AWS. And one of the unique things about this offering on AWS is that it's available in the AWS Marketplace. And our goal with the AWS Marketplace is to allow the IT buyer, right, and the business teams to readily access, to readily be able to find, buy, procure, and deploy any piece of software. And today we have over thousands and thousands and thousands of listings that customers and IT buyers are actively buying on a daily basis, right? There's a broad selection of software, and so for a buyer who is kind of moving into the cloud, they expect to be able to purchase the software they want to run in the cloud in a common place. Why in a common place? Well, so number one, customers often want to be able to leverage, say, the commitments that they make to AWS, right? To run on the AWS infrastructure. Anything a customer buys in Marketplace can count towards the commitment, including Grow, which we think is fantastic. Anything bought in the AWS Marketplace from a billing perspective shows up on the AWS bill as a line item, right? So then makes chargeback a whole lot easier when you're looking to obviously disseminate potentially costs to your lines of business within your company. Many of the products that are in Marketplace, right? You can go from procurement rapidly, directly into deployment, right? So I bought the software, I want to deploy it. And then we can actually do some pretty interesting and complicated things, right? So let's say I want a combination of multiple types of products, including Grow, right? I can actually bundle all those together into what we call private offers, right? Where, again, the combination of software products is really what, say, a customer is looking for. Then we also take, and I should have led with this, but we take security very seriously, right? And each of the products that are listed in Marketplace go through very strict governance and compliance certification. Another thing I'd love to talk about, if I may, for just a minute, is, and that we're really excited about, is the ability for our mutual partners. So both of us have been working with these partners like NTT Data and Syntax and Sador for many years. Here we're actually joining forces in a partnership, if you will, to allow them effectively to go help sell and implement Grow with SAP on AWS. Again, through the Marketplace route. And so that's really exciting as well. Now, Arpan talked a little bit about some of the generative AI. You saw some of the examples, which I thought was really powerful. I'm gonna dig in just a little bit to kind of what's behind the scenes, right? So we've been working with SAP for quite some time on how do we take the general large language models, right, the LLMs that AWS provides, and bring that goodness to the SAP user, right? And SAP knows their applications the best, right? And where to actually implement and enhance your applications with generative AI capabilities, right? So one of the things I think they've done, which is really smart, is to build in it's called a Business Technology Platform, or BTP. Effectively a central place where customers can go and extend their existing SAP applications using generative AI technology. And so within the Generative AI Hub, within the BTP technology platform, customers, our mutual customers, can actually find AWS models from Anthropic. The recent model that we released just this week called Nova, which we think is game-changing, is also already available. I think that shows the tightness of our collaboration. It's these type of capabilities that are also powering, I think, what's behind Grow, inside the product stack there too. So it's this foundation, I think, that they've built that's really powering a lot of the new innovation into this cloud ERP stack, which is pretty awesome.
And it's a great, I mean, if you're a partner, it's a great opportunity to extend Grow.
100%.
So if there are scenarios that your customers want, you can build it on BTP, on AWS, take advantage of Gen AI Hub that can connect to Amazon Bedrock, and then you can actually have that as you can build that service and actually use it for different customers as well. And if I'm not mistaken, the other cool thing about the marketplace is a partner can also package up Grow in their own services,
100%,
right?
yep.
And so if you want your own, let's say you have your own industry flavor with industry extensions and with AI, and you want to have your own Grow for foo, basically you can actually go ahead and do that and package it up. So I think that's a nice...
It's differentiating, right? Yeah. And there are multiple partners out there that cater to different industries. I think that's, actually, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. That's fantastic. All right, so, and again, very similar to, I think, what Arpan was just saying, right? So it's a combination of, the best-in-class SAP technology. SAP understands these, cross-industry business processes that are key to running a business. It's the new generative AI technology from both companies. And then obviously the partners who are actually able to build on top of this, that we actually think can really drive innovation. I will say that I mentioned earlier there are millions of customers that are running on Amazon. I don't know what the exact public stat is that I can state, but there are many, many customers running on AWS today, and many of those are hungry for an ERP solution. So we're excited that Grow is now available on AWS, and we're really bullish on the opportunity together.
And yeah, so let's get to the second pillar. Spoke a little bit about simplify everyday work. Now let's talk about grow your business. And I like this slide because it really shows the breadth of capabilities that Grow has, right? Most companies, as I mentioned before, not most, all companies have finance. Almost all companies have sales. If they don't, I'm not sure what they're doing. They all need procurement. They may have services, they may build products, they work with the supply chain, and they, at the end of the day, will need extensions. And so what Grow does, it has all these components integrated really nicely. And with that extensions, as I mentioned before, and like Steve mentioned, partners can build extensions in a very safe way. So as updates come into our SaaS solution, all the extensions keep running. So it's built on APIs, out-of-the-box extensions. So again, that's one of the really nice things about building extensions on Grow. And this gives you a little bit of detail in terms of the capabilities. If we had more time, I'd walk you through more demos. But in one system, again, all the features you would need for sales come right out of the box. Everything you need for procurement, out of the box. And everything you need from a finance perspective also comes out of the box. And like I said before, it's all integrated, and by using AI and a lot of the new user experience, we make it as natural, as effective for end users to work and actually use our software. And one thing, and this is just one example, this is one example of something we shipped, I want to say about 12 months ago, which is allowing companies to actually sell anything as a service. So we got feedback from customers that said, you know what, I no longer just sell a product. I no longer just sell a service. I want to sell a subscription. And so because we're built on a SaaS platform, we were able to deliver subscription billing as a module for customers to use, and then we saw adoption increase right away. Another recent feature is solution bundles. So customers like, yeah, Arpan, I like subscription billing, and I like the fact that I can sell a product, but I want to bundle things. I want to create a bundle where there may be some things that are subscriptions, some things may not be subscriptions, and I want to be able to manage, sell, and track my bundles throughout the ERP system. So we launched solution bundles or solution business. So these are just simple examples that allow companies to change business models, and with our ERP solution, we can actually release those capabilities. So if you're a customer or partner, you can take advantage of them very, very quickly. In terms of geo footprint, this is another reason why we're excited to work with AWS. AWS also is located worldwide. Our announcement today was about North America, but as a partner, I know they're also located across the globe. But what's beautiful about Grow is we have more local languages and more regions than any other ERP provider. So if you're a partner or customer that has subsidiaries, or if you have business in other regions, Grow has you covered. And then one other thing I did want to mention, let me just come back. One other scenario we see is if there are customers that are part of large organizations, or they're partners that work with large enterprises, a lot of these enterprises may have RISE. They'll have these big RISE systems where they've been doing finance and where they need to maintain. But as they grow new subsidiaries or line of businesses, a common trend we're seeing is a two-tier option. So they keep their HQ on RISE, but their subsidiaries in new businesses are on Grow. So that allows companies to be agile while also integrating for things like group reporting and consolidated reporting with the RISE systems. And that's something that we offer as well, and no other ERP vendor has. And these are some examples of where HQ might be on RISE or Tier 1, and then the other examples would be on Grow. So we call that a two-tier deployment.
If I may, I think that's great, because obviously both RISE and Grow, both underpinned by it's the same SAP technology.
Right.
One is SaaS, one is private cloud edition. They speak the same language, right? So when you talk about roll-ups and consolidation, it's just that much easier.
Absolutely. And then I think from an AWS perspective, as Steve has already mentioned, like we do a lot of work together to ensure that we're able to deliver innovation together, and we have a long-standing relationship. And in just a few minutes, we'll also talk under the hood in terms of what allows us to do this quickly and cost effectively. All right. Now I want to touch on the last pillar. So if you're a partner or if you're in IT, one of the frequently asked questions we get is, well, how do I get this up and running in weeks, or how do I get this up and running in months? And so with Grow, what we've done is we actually have a very clear methodology. It's called Activate, which walks partners, walks customers through how they should plan, design, deploy, and extend Grow. And it's a very comprehensive methodology. We have certifications, we have training, we have tools, we have templates, we have documentations for it, and it's been really well tested. So if you are a partner, or even if you're a part of an IT team and a customer, I highly recommend looking this up. It's called SAP Activate. And then I have a short demo. This is just to drive home the point of the fact that we are shipping updates on a frequent basis. And one of the questions I get from customers are, well, I love your SaaS, I love your shipping updates, but boy, don't make a lot of updates because we'll confuse our users. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, help me with innovation, but don't break me. And so one of the things that my team drove is in-product notifications, and they're all targeted and tailored. So if a customer has need for a feature, or is scope for a feature, or is licensed for a feature, in the product, we'll let you know what's new, we'll let you know what's changed, and where it makes sense, we'll also give documentation and videos. Super simple way of doing it. The traditional way of doing it at SAP is you would have thousands of pages.
Bit of a book.
Based on every major upgrade to understand what's new. And then you'd have to source out, how does it apply to me? Well, guess what? We know exactly what you're using, so we're able to let you know, this is what's relevant for you, this is what you should do, and we also give IT administrators some control. So there's some cool ability to do in-product notification training for your end users, and hopefully as partners you can take advantage of that as well. This is a big topic, and this is probably its own session, and this is where the fact that BTP is available on AWS, the fact that Bedrock is available as an example, are really good examples of how a partner, whether you're a partner or a developer at a customer, can build extensions right on AWS and right with SAP BTP. And we have many, many partners that have actually built these extensions, that have published these extensions and are available. And because all of this is using APIs, the beautiful thing is that whatever extension you build won't break your system. So one of the issues we see with more traditional SAP deployments is people are very scared to upgrade because they're worried, oh, I'm going to break my customizations, I'm going to break my extensions. But because of the way we provide extensibility, it's all through APIs, you don't have to worry about that. At SAP, we call it a clean core, but when you're on SaaS, it's already a clean core, I mean, by default. So there's no fear of you going and breaking tables or doing anything that may be fearsome on-prem, but with SaaS, that's the beauty of the model. And again, we give you the flexibility, we have APIs, we have CDS views, and with BTP on AWS, with AWS's services, you really can extend and integrate with Grow.
Should we dive into a little bit of what's under the hood?
Let's do it.
All right. I really like how you built this in a very open way. Let me just say that. I think the ability for partners and customers, right, to extend, but do it in a safe way so they're not blocked from taking advantage of all these frequent, sounds like very frequent updates that you're bringing in, right? Because they may want to, develop something that is custom to them, but not want to worry about actually having it block them from getting the most recent changes. So let's peel the hood back just a little bit. For some of you who might have been following the SAP on AWS story for a few years now, or just the AWS story for a few years, you'll remember that we have been investing in our own custom silicon, right? So it was quite a number of years ago that we started work to literally, we thought to ourselves, could we offload all of the technical complexity and work that is done on the virtualization or the hypervisor layer, right? And so this led to us developing the Nitro system, the first incarnation of Nitro, which were effectively hardware offload cards, had a little ARM chip on them. And it was manufactured by a company called Annapurna Labs. And we loved it so much, we actually bought the company. And we said, well, what if we took this a step further, right? And we're noting that, we're doing an awful lot more with ARM processors at that point. What if we could actually bring the power of this technology, advance it to be used in the data center, right? And so that's what we did. And SAP and AWS embarked on a journey about 3 years ago. So what if we actually took a very complex engine like HANA, and HANA Cloud to be specific, and did the hard work to make it actually work on ARM. And we did all the business cases, and we looked at it and we said, we think this is going to be really, really helpful and valuable for customers. Not from just a TCO perspective, but from we know that ARM is much more effective from a power consumption perspective, right? So we embarked on this journey. And so I'll kind of gloss over this, but we've generally found a few salient points, a few key things, right? I mentioned a lot less energy, 60+% less energy than comparable EC2 instances that are running on the x86 family, right? And substantially less, 20% less, when you're running a large fleet of instances, can be a lot. In fact, we at AWS have moved the vast majority of our internal services to Graviton. Both. There are things called GPUs these days that require a lot of power, right? So we've been accelerating over I would say the last 2 years, our move of our internal services where we can to Graviton. And we're into our 4th generation.
And one thing, the nice thing that Steve and I were talking about as well is not only is it saving less power, it's sustainable.
It's sustainable.
So sustainability is also a big deal for us, and it was just great to be able to be a more sustainable platform.
Yeah, 100%. We're into our 4th generation, right? And you can see incrementally how we've been chipping away at performance gains and providing better and better scalability. With Graviton 4, we've actually released instances with up to 3 terabytes of RAM. And you can see here 30% better compute performance than the prior generation. And so we're kind of on this arc together with SAP, which has been really fun to bring this technology into SAP's technology stack underpinning, right? And we're excited to see you grow, taking advantage of all of the work that we put into the HANA Cloud optimization on Graviton. And we're obviously excited about what's next, right? This is one of our key colleagues, Stefan Boyle, talking about how the Graviton 4 processors have delivered them substantial savings, both from a price and a performance perspective. It really is a game changer. I hate to use those words, but it is. I want to talk a little bit about NTT. NTT was one of the partners that we talked about earlier there on the slide. We wanted to try to encapsulate how important and how a partner really feels about this particular offering, right? And you can see that they're very excited to be able to bring this to their customers. This has been, I would say, a medium, long-term ask, right? So we're both excited to be able to allow partners to be able to do this, right? All right, so Arpan, how do we get started?
Well, we are, as Steve said, like this was the event where we announced Grow on Marketplace, and the listing is live. And so you can check out the listing, it's available, you can learn about it, and starting January, I think we'll be opening up the store in terms of private offers.
Yeah.
And so we're super excited, as you can tell. And yeah, we'd love to join, we'd love for you to join us on this journey. And if you have feedback, and as you have feedback, we'd love to hear from you. So we're really excited about this, and thank you for joining.
Yeah, I want to thank you for coming today. I don't know if we have a survey. If you go to the next slide, there might be. There's a survey in the mobile app. Please complete that. And again, thank you for coming today, and to reInvent generally.